Okay, welcome everyone to the Business Propel webinar today called Prioritizing Your Financial Function for Profit. Heinemann from Acvisory. Hi, Chris.
G'day, Phil. Very nice to be here today.
Excellent. And before we go forward, we'll just do a quick introduction of Business Propel for anyone who hasn't used it yet. Business Propel is the next evolution in business assessment tools. Offering an end-to-end view, this tool will shape your business for success. Leaving no stone unturned, the ecosystem will help you assess and refine your current methods to ensure your business is operating and performing in an optimal fashion. Make faster and better decisions to grow your business with the use of our experts that we call our Business Propel professionals. My name's Philip Paresis, and I'm the Digital Marketing and Community Manager for Business Propel. Some stats from our diagnostics. When you registered for the webinar, you were being invited to complete some diagnostics, and some of the results we'll go through right now. 56% is the average financial score, and what that means is most SMEs operate without proper knowledge of the financial implications of each sale they make. Knowing the accurate profit of your services will mean you can plan much more strategically moving forward. The Business Propel Diagnostic helps you prioritize your financial function to overcome obstacles and achieve your business potential. Some more stats: 17% of Propel subscribers that completed the financial diagnostic reported and outlined that they measured the success of their business by the profitability of each job. 35% either do not monitor cash flow or do not monitor their cash flow on a regular basis. And let me tell you, that is scary. 34% do not have a routine for invoicing customers and chasing payments. If you do want to do the diagnostic after this webinar, you will receive another opportunity to do so. It will be on the reminder email and the replay email, And what it will look like with this, you'll end up with a report, the financial report, you'll get a score, and you'll get an action plan too, so what you need to do next. And just a reminder, we will be pulling polls, running polls during this session. So please look to the tab to your right called polls for you to answer. I'll let you know when they come up. And without further ado, I want to introduce Chris today. Chris has over 20 years in commercial, financial, treasury, operational leadership and management roles. Started at PwC, then leading global companies in Australia, the UK and Singapore, partnering businesses of all sizes, and now you're back focusing on small business, Chris.
Yeah, that's right, Phil. So back focusing on small business, we all know and love them, and how important they are. Look, I guess I saw a big opportunity where an impact could be made. I saw a massive gap between what small business were needing and what they were getting from the traditional accountant. Solely doing a tax return in November for a period that finished months ago did little for the company. It was too late. It was more, what about the business, its future, and helping it thrive? So moving on to, here's a summary of the slides that we're going to be going through. A lot of what we cover today is in your hands. They are controllable by you, and what we're trying to do is make your business more valuable and less risky. So the first question that I'm going to ask today, it'd be great to get your input from, is what does success look like?
And basically there's a poll coming up now to your right. I'm just going to give you a little bit of time to complete that. So how do you measure the success of your business? Great, getting some results in. Great, interesting results here. Increasing client base, how much money is left in the bank. That's a very good one for a small business. And profitability of each job. Excellent.
Thanks very much for that input. So what I've put is success is having the financial position and lifestyle that you plan for. Now, it's really individual, so it gets back to the business owner and what they are after. But ultimately, while we are focusing on the finance function today, the underlying goal is to help you realize your goals. So let's start with the reality check for a business owner. And we know how tough it is. And the statistics are, can be quite scary. I think we all feel that pressure. We see, these statistics all the time, the number of failures, competition. But I guess what we want to try to focus on is the flip side to that. And there is actually a lot of success stories out there, and many businesses are doing well. The opportunities, possibilities, and support has never been greater. Many of the biggest companies in the world today are very young, and many of the reasons why business fail can be resolved. So let's look at the logical path. And here we want to consider what sets companies that are successful and what about those companies that fail. Now, things that I'll talk about today are things that we can do and also unforced errors. So, I'll use tennis as an example, and I'll compare Bernard Tomic against Rafael Nadal, and one of those is giving himself the absolute best chance of success. The other one, perhaps not so much, perhaps lacking a little bit of focus and practice, and practice. Okay, so these are so moving on to some statistics. So these are some different stats that I've seen recently, and that are interesting to think about, and we might bring them up through this talk. Often cash flow is the number one issue for why any business, and in particular small business, has trouble. So there's lots that aren't positive. So how do they survive? Then we see there's lots of business potentially changing ownership over the next period of time. So lots of competition. There's the one that Phil talked about the days it takes to actually get the cash into the door. So 34 days, it's a long time.
Very long time, especially when you have suppliers with 14-day to 30-day invoices, right?
Yeah, so that has a big impact on your business. You want to grow. How are you going to do that if you can't get the cash in from that? Then we've got the one with zero, and I guess that sort of shows that there is a lot of people that are moving to systems that can provide help and support to make their life a little bit easier. But let's focus a little bit more specifically on the finance function, and I guess what technology has allowed virtual CFOs, it's given them the ability to become business advisors to small business, giving them capability that in the past only the big players had. So I've listed the framework that finance can and needs to play in. So it has a big role to play in being the steward of the company, so protecting and preserving assets, to balancing capability, services, and cost levels, to getting involved in strategy, and for challenging behaviours to achieve strategic and financial objectives.
Yeah. So, Chris, what is exactly a virtual CFO?
So a virtual CFO is a strategic partner whose expertise is the financial management of the company. It can be tailored to suit the unique requirements of each company and performed on an as-required basis. Services are a lot broader than what are associated with the traditional accountant, who is mainly trained in tax and data preparation. Virtual CFOs should have years of experience in finance and business. So they've had a lot of experience working in strategy, as well as dealing with cash flow management and financial relationships.
Excellent.
The other important point to make over the finance function is that we do have a lot of control over it. And that gets back to that unforced errors. Are there things that we could be doing that we're not, that is causing us to not reach the success that we should happen. And I guess the conclusion of all of that is that we want to recognize and best address opportunities and risks. So now moving on to partnerships. Look, we all know great partnerships are legendary, and they have allowed greater results to be achieved than would otherwise have been possible. We've got the partners in crime from the Toy Story on the diagram. Now that relationship took some time to develop. Then we've got the American football pitcher, helping a quarterback survive and thrive may be the toughest job in sport. Now recently, those two people in the picture, they featured in the 50-second Super Bowl. So when they got together, they are at the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots had never won a Super Bowl. Now they've built an unmatched legacy, winning 5 times and being runner-up, and they've been runner-up, 3 times, including earlier this year in February. So to stay ahead of the pack, how do they do that? Now, if we compare that to the business owner, the virtual CFO relationship, so business owners have more to navigate through and more risks to manage than ever. The business owner needs the right support, insights, and advice at the right time. The virtual CFO's job is to address many of the areas where businesses fail in. Okay, so it's a long road. So a business is going to go through different stages, ups and downs, surprises, changes, emotions. It's all going to happen. Many, many issues will face the finance function that the finance function needs to be driving. So we talked about cash flow earlier. It's often listed as the #1 issue for business owners. And we get back to that earlier slide where 35% were not monitoring cash flow on a regular basis. To me, that's an unforced error. That's something that you must be on top of. It's like being asleep at the wheel.
And it's interesting to see most of these things listed here is when you're working on your business and not just in your business. That means you're not doing the tool or the services. Is actually looking after your business and especially its financial function. Yeah,
that's a great point. And I think that's where the partnership needs to get to, where you're having meaningful conversations about the prevailing issues of the day. And that's where you're going to, move the business forward. And absolutely right, being, helping the business go forward. So finance function. So again, using it to make it more valuable. And, preparation is everything. We want to make informed decisions, and we want to provide protection, and we need to develop a systematic approach to reach those goals. So moving on to informed decisions. Now, the success of your business will depend on the decisions that you make. So Tony Robbins says it's your moments of decision that your destiny is shaped. And being focused, proactive, and in control will lead to better decisions. And that covers business planning, asset protection, business risk, exit and estate planning, timely, accurate, insightful reporting. So on that, for example, exit planning, you're not going to be the business owner forever. You need to, nothing is guaranteed. So you need to be working on trying to make your business as valuable as possible all the time. Okay, systematic approach. I've got a quote there from Bruce Lee about focus. And again, what we need is consistency. We want to drive a culture where we've got this continuous improvement cycle. So here's the statistics. You'll see many of these, which is linking business performance to successfully implementing strategic initiatives. And here's that continuous improvement cycle. So it's where do we want to go to? How do we get there? How do we measure success? How did we go? How can we improve? And that becomes a normal part of your business life. So control, must stay in control. What are all the risks that you need to take into account? Now, some are not so obvious. No one can be an expert at anything. We need effective governance and process. Ignorance is not an excuse, and it will be costly. So effective governance. So good governance is about the process for making and implementing decisions, understanding roles, and responsibilities. Make sure everything in your business is covered. It's so hard. There's so many things to manage. If you're in a corporate, there are divisions for each of these. So let's move on to some tips and advice. Everything's got to start with yourself. It's an overwhelming role, and the responsibilities of a business owner puts yourself at a greater risk of developing a mental health condition. Sorry. I put some, you could spend a lot of time on this. It's not for me really to go through, but I've just put some red flags just that people can use as signs, and then some things. I think staying connected, doing some exercise, all that sort of stuff that we all hear. There's also a lot of resources available. For example, Business in Mind, they've got case studies and other material that can help. Sometimes being a business owner is very lonely, and it's important to not get lost in it all.
Yeah, it's important to talk to other business owners, so to understand that you're not the only one going through, the ups and downs in business. So that's why sometimes networking is one of those things that, just talk to someone else, and they know that you've been at a certain stage in the business that they might have been at or not there yet. So they know everything's going to be okay, and there's only positives to find from there.
Yeah, spot on. So have a plan as big as your aspirations. Now, a lot of people have got big goals, but if you're going to have big goals, you better have the substance and the strategy to back it up. So there's a lot of work that needs to go into that. I've listed some analysis, potential problems and solutions to consider, cash flows, budgeting. So again, prepare. And get ready for these challenges so that you can reach your goals. Metrics, KPIs. So again, it's that the benefit of seeing where you are. They're the building blocks for how your business performance is assessed and achieved. So start with the big picture. What are your goals? What are your issues? How can we develop objectives for those? Develop strategies to reach and evaluate them. Keep it simple and share them throughout the organisation. These measures are to learn from, not to track. Okay, it's a reality of life that you cannot do everything. You don't have the time nor the expertise. Nobody does. Everyone, I guess the natural instinct for a business owner is to try to take everything on his shoulders. But what we can do these days is we can create a virtual workforce of experts. So Bill Belichick is the coach of the New England Patriots, and his big saying was, do your job. There's about 3 things that you're excellent at. Focus on that. Focus on where you're going to add the most value. Outsource your weaknesses, and then connect and connect the expertise. And that'll allow you to address opportunities and risks.
Yeah, this is probably the most valuable lesson I've learned over the years of running businesses. Getting help from outside, or bringing experts, or even new staff to help. That you realize that not everyone's going to do it maybe as good as you're going to do, but the staff can replace and save you some time, or bringing experts that have been where you are that can actually lead you to the right destination, the destination you're trying to go to.
Exactly. So get the right people working in the right areas and go on the journey together. And I think that's a nice summary is turn on the lights. So equally, leveraging technology. So technology is a huge enabler to better serve and win customers. It allows you to simplify your processes, lower costs, and raise the level of service and delivery. But make sure you're taking advantage of what the product can offer. I've seen, for example, users of, say, Xero not realizing functions that are available that would have saved them quite a deal of time. So here's a bit of a list. There are more and more apps for different areas of your business. They're getting better and better. Most have a free trial period. I would suggest start with a few key areas where you need some help in, and learn them well. So summary of those last few slides is leveraging the ecosystem and creating this virtual workforce of experts. So bringing together where we can create the virtual workforce, leveraging the relevant experts and technology, and allowing you to concentrate on what you do best. Okay, so I think it's another quiz question. So interested in what people's thoughts are in terms of, are they charging the right price? Is it too low?
So we've got another poll coming up now, guys. We'll take a couple seconds to have a look at the results of that poll. Do you think you are charging the right price for your product and services?
The reality is that most businesses do undercharge. And what does that mean? That means constant worry. It means that you're stressing about your cash flow and ultimately compromising your service and product. And what we find is that reasonable increases usually result in little or no drop in clients. And often they result in a better quality of clients.
It seems like the results are split, just 55% yes and 44% no.
Well done to those guys who's got it right. That's great. And this table just shows the impact of when you increase your price. So let's consider, if you've got a product with a 30% margin and you decrease the price by 10%, the sales volume must drop by more than 25% to be in a worse position. So interesting. So quite a big fall off for you to get into a worse position. And as we said on the last slide, it actually, you probably won't lose that many, and your product's going to end up being better. So the next slide is what is your time really worth? So how many hours you want to work? What do you want to earn? So hopefully this gives you a perspective of how much you need to earn per hour to realize your particular goals. So keep this in mind for your pricing, for your outsourcing. Ask yourself questions like, could I be earning $100, but I have no time because I'm working on something that I can outsource for a lesser amount? Perhaps I could buy some automation technology to free up some time.
This is a scary slide when you start thinking about the little menial tasks that you can literally get someone else to do, or have a piece of software that can do it for you.
Yeah, exactly. And we've all been there. I know I have, where wow, you just never get that time back. Okay, so the next slide is looking at your business value gap.
Yep, and there's another poll now about the value gap. Do you know what your business value gap is? Give a couple seconds to go through that.
This is definitely a number that all small business owners need to think about. Most businesses are relying on the sale of their business to fund all or part of their retirement. So you need to know the value of the business and how to increase the value. We saw earlier 800,000 businesses are expected to change owners over the next 8 to 10 years. So it's really competitive. And it's those ones that are sustainable, that produce sustainable, profitable and unique business that are going to have the best chance of optimizing their sales price.
Okay, so most of the results have been no. Very interesting.
So what day of the month do you break even? So the reality is that it takes most people the majority of the month to get to recover all the costs that they have incurred. So how can you reduce this day? And again, I mean, that's an exercise that I sometimes do. I think it's a good focus, bring it to people and to try to get them to say, okay, well, how can we reduce those days so you've actually have more days that you're earning profit, or that you've got time to do something else. And again, it's those growth and improvement strategies that are required if you want to increase the value. So here's a question. What do these people have in common? So John Clark, humorist, bushwalker, Steve Folkes, Dean Mercer. So sadly, they all died from heart attacks. So 30% of heart attack victims have none of the risk factors we're told lead to heart attacks. And only 10% of people who suffer a heart attack outside of hospital, survive. So it's quite a tough slide, and I apologise for that. But I guess it's just trying to get across the point that that's something that you don't want to be procrastinating about, because it will potentially set up unnecessary stress, costs for your family. Okay, so we've raced through a lot of stuff. There's a lot more. I mean, if you go back to that original slide where we're looking at all the different issues that you address, we could talk for a long period about each of those, but time doesn't allow that. So we'll skip through that, and we'll just look at some suggested actions that we could do from today. So, I would recommend that each business owner would consider what their top 3 goals for 2018 are, and that's from a personal, business, and also from a finance perspective. I would recommend doing the Business Propel health checks. You're going to get sent a link for those later. Really important to understand where you're at. And then once you've done those 2 things, you can revisit and or start on your business plan. I've touched on the finance function. So, what adjustments can I make? What are some of the unforced errors that I can eliminate to give myself the best chance at success? So bringing that along to a finance function and trying to create a strong one. So again, revisiting the company goals and strategy. It starts with the company goals and strategy. Again, the finance function will only be as useful as the value that it brings to those company goals and strategy. So assess your current finance function capabilities and have a think about where you want to get it to. What is an action plan to get you there? Establish some KPIs, some metrics that are important for your business's success, and then get into that continuous improvement cycle where you're reviewing and you're analysing and adjusting. So Rome wasn't built in a day, but we want to move to that value-adding mindset. So I put up here, build the right package for your business. And these are, every business is unique and different requirements required at different times. Inclusions that I recommend and include in my packages include Business Propel Premium, having a dedicated virtual CFO that can give you timely advice, insights, review, analysis. An accounting system like a Xero where you can get real-time information, only as good as your information that you've got in there. You've got automation tools like Receipt Bank where you can take a photo, save securely in the cloud, and feeds automatically into cloud accounting packages like Xero or MyOb and other ones. Having dashboard reporting, so you're clearly focused on your business and the success and how well you're going, and having these timely analysis. So having that sort of tax optimization before year end when you can actually do something. Having that business gap analysis. So how did we do through that last year? Have we bridged the gap? Have we got to make some adjustments? Are we on track? I'd recommend fixed monthly packages. You want to avoid nasty surprises. Your virtual CFO is a partner, and they should be available as you need them. You shouldn't be worried about calling them up and getting extra to bills. And the other thing that I'd recommend is just a loan review. Often, there's a couple of $1,000 straight away. It may even be how it's structured and what you can do to help the nature of your business. So thanks very much for your time.
Yeah. So Chris, there's a lot to digest. There's a lot to pack in for 30 minutes, and there's a lot of thought processes and things that business owners are currently thinking. And we have about 30 minutes worth of your time that you want to donate to some business owners if they're interested. But you did suggest to me earlier that you recommend that people set up a few goals, the top 3 goals first, and then set up a discussion with you by typing into the chat box. We'll grab your details in the chat box, or you can go to the businesspropeller.com.au consultants directory. You'll find Acvisory there, and you'll see Chris's name. You can contact Chris directly through that through the website. So basically a free 30-minute discussion with Chris, but we do recommend that you do put in your goals first. You decide your goals first, and then you talk to Chris, and he can guide you through the right place. We have time for one question. If anyone has any questions right now, be happy to answer. If we do get too many questions, depending on the complexity of the questions, we might respond later on through the replay and the link that we send you and the article that we create from this webinar. So give it a second if anyone has any other question. Chris, thank you very much. You have provided a wealth of knowledge. There's so much to digest for everyone on the webinar, and we've had a lot of people on the webinar today, so I'm pretty excited about that. Thank you again, and to the next time.
Oh, no, cheers. Great to be here.
Thanks, guys. And don't forget to keep your eyes on the replay link that you do get access to the Business Propel diagnostic. Don't forget to contact Chris. And we have another webinar coming up soon, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Thank you, everyone. Have a good lunch. Bye.